I'm at the IAA show in Hanover, and I'm on Mercedes-Benz's massive stand. Now, the last few shows have all been about Euro 6, but the dust has finally settled on that. The question is, what comes next? Is it Euro 7? Now, the best person to answer that question is Mike Belk. He's the MD of Mercedes-Benz Truck UK.
I think Euro 7 is not on the cards right away. The big challenge now is with Euro 6 in place, making sure that the benefits of Euro 6 are then sort of felt in terms of their impact in the environment. But of course, it's not just about fuel particulates and NOx. It's also about the wider issue now of CO2. And with the future probably more orientated towards fleet averaging emissions of CO2, I think the fuel efficiency story is where it's going to be in terms of the next phase. And of course, alternative fuels, whether it's gas or biofuels, all play a big part in that. And we've got a great offer there now, which can offer customers alternatives from the traditional powertrains that we've been developing so far.
So what's Mercedes-Benz doing to improve efficiency?
For us, it's the sum of the details, and road efficiency is very important in that context. It's our sort of halo description for where we think we differentiate in our offer, which is a lower total cost overall. That's clearly highly dependent on fuel efficiency. With the new second generation driveline for our Euro 6 engines, optimizing the fuel efficiency by further up to 6%, that's a big step forward. But road efficiency is all about better safety, and with ABA4, which now gives pedestrian recognition and full stopping of the vehicle, and our sideguard assist program, we've got I think a leading position now in terms of saying whether it be fuel efficiency or safety, we have something that's different and unique.
So is connectivity just about Mercedes-Benz uptime?
Connectivity, I think, is about saying, with 400 sensors now, which are going to be built into our vehicles, how do we make use of that information for customers? In the past, it's very much been around telematics, about monitoring engine performance and driver performance. The future is going to be much more about providing information to customers about predictive breakdowns, about making sure that we can help them to maximize the use of that vehicle. And we're launching a product here called Mercedes-Benz Uptime, which is again a world first from a manufacturer. Utilizes the new Fleetboard truck data center, which is going to be the core black box which sits in all of our vehicles now, to act as the interface to take out information from all of those sensors, put it through algorithms, and effectively that will give us the ability to predict whether maintenance is required at the next scheduled 6-weekly inspection. Obviously that can help in terms of making sure the parts are available, make sure the right length of time is scheduled in the workshop. But also, if there's a critical failure about to happen, the system will pick that up and will give the customer the choice then as to how to address that. So hopefully avoiding costly and timely breakdowns. The reality is that the truck becomes a source of data which can be used in a variety of ways. As a manufacturer, we're only able to look at certain aspects in terms of what we see as being fundamental to truck efficiency. Customers have a much broader set of operating constraints. So we're opening up now that data that's in the truck through our Fleetboard app store. So going forward, customers and operators can design bespoke apps which can sit embedded in that truck data center, and it can actually suck out any kind of information that we're storing and manipulate it and cut it and dice it. So I think again a first for us, moving into an era where we say the customers have access to all of that data to utilize as they want to.
So, Mike, this part of the stand is certainly attracting a lot of attention, and I can understand why too, but it all looks a bit science fiction to me.
It may look science fiction, but I think the reality is much closer than people perhaps recognise. Certainly with the Fuso e-Canter, here we have a product which is scheduled for production next year. So, the cost issues have been overcome. The running cost of this vehicle is something like 40% less than a regular standard product we've been used to in the past. And therefore, over a 3-year running cycle of ownership, the extra cost of the powertrain is fully amortized by the low running costs. We have now, for the first time, a production-ready, economical vehicle that actually, I think, has a great place and a great role to play, certainly in the urban environment, where the range limitations of such a vehicle aren't a limitation in terms of its daily use.
So what do you see as the role of electric vehicles? I'm assuming it's just for urban operations.
I think predominantly for urban distribution. With the development in battery technology now, we've already now developed the eTruck, Mercedes-Benz 26-ton distribution truck with a range of 200 kilometers. And our research would show that most urban delivery routes are certainly less than that. But of course, the vehicle also has to be therefore complemented by an intelligent range management system. So here the two worlds of electrification on connectivity come together. Both are going to be essential components of a future solution. And we're looking here at probably the turn of the next decade. So 4 to 5 years from now, the battery costs will come down significantly. The current battery cost is probably the restraining issue at the moment. The drivetrain and the rest of the componentry, in terms of its cost and complexity, is a known quantity. It's the battery cost which is going to be the decisive factor.
Well, Mike, it certainly looks fantastic, but I'm assuming there's some major drawbacks here. It's going to be more expensive and heavier too.
Well, you may think that, but I think people will be surprised. Firstly, let's deal with the weight issue. This vehicle, fully configured with a 200 kilometer range, battery powered, only has a weight penalty of 1.75 tons versus the standard 26 tonner. Now, bearing in mind that governments are going to allow dispensation in terms of the chassis plate of 1 ton, that effectively means only a 750 kilogram penalty for what is a zero emission distribution truck, which I think is quite amazing. In terms of the cost, clearly that's driven primarily by the battery technology. At the moment, battery technology in this configuration is in the order of 40,000 euros. Now clearly that's not something at the moment which is economically sustainable, but battery pricing is coming substantially down. Our view is that by the start of the next decade, which is when we're envisaging this concept might be ready then for full-scale production, those costs are going to come down so that, a bit like the Fuso e-Canter, it'll be a premium price but with 40% or 50% lower running costs, and therefore over a 3 or 4 year period the extra cost of this vehicle is probably amortized by the savings in fuel.
So I've just noticed this isn't as futuristic as people might think, is it? You've just launched it at the show, right?
Absolutely, yeah. This is the new side guard assist system, effectively a rearward and backward looking radar system that scans the full length, not just of the tracked unit, but also the trailer.
Okay.
The purpose of the system is to identify any pedestrians or cyclists in the near side blind spot of the vehicle, and effectively to provide first of all a visual audible warning to the driver, but then if the vehicle turns across the path of pedestrians or cyclists, we'll actually fully stop the vehicle.
Fantastic. Are you talking rigids and arctics?
To start with, we've launched it on tractors, so it's available left-hand drive to start with. The uptake of the safety packs in the UK market is pretty low at the moment.
Really?
So the issue for us is to make sure that we make the case for saying this is a required technology in the UK as well as the rest of Europe, and to have a significant opportunity then to improve pedestrian and cycle safety.
Yeah. So why is the take-up of safety features lower in the UK than elsewhere?
That's a great question, Will, and I think I look at the numbers and I'm astounded myself. The uptake in some of the European markets on our safety packs is up to 30%. In the UK, we're running about 3%.
Wow.
So tenfold difference. And I don't think that's because safety isn't key to our customers. So we need to explore that in a bit more detail. My hunch is that we need to communicate better and we need to explain better the benefits of the technology.
Yeah.
Like everything, it's a value proposition and there's a price and a value. And I think we've got to build a story around what these systems can do and the benefits that they can bring, for all vehicles.
Yeah. Is this actually an industry first?
This is an industry first, the ability to scan not just the tracked unit but also the tractor and trailer.
Yeah. So Mike, this certainly looks familiar, right-hand drive Econic. I've driven one of these in a quarry back in England, absolutely loved it. Now, I understand the benefits of this in London, but why have you got one here in Germany?
Good question, Will. I think Econic has been a fantastic success story in the UK since we launched it. In the last few years, with the focus on vulnerable road users in London and cycle and pedestrian injuries, the concept, I guess, has taken another step forward, which is that visibility with the eyeball of the driver and pedestrian or cyclist has been proven to be the most effective way of limiting accidents. And with the low cab height, glazed door, Econic clearly has a key advantage. Now, that's just not an issue for London, it's also an issue for other cities in the UK, but of course also throughout the rest of Europe. So this is a stage now in the European setting for us to talk about the safety benefits of the Econic, and other cities in Europe are going to see that and hopefully will follow the lead that we've taken in London.